Terence "Bud" Crawford successfully defends his WBO welterweight title for the first time against Jose Benavidez Jr. I thought the fight would have been a little bit easier and more straightforward for Bud. I would have thought Benavidez would have been out of there by about the 6th round, but he used his size and almost kind of a bluffing nature by dropping his hands and trying to goad him in and going, come on, I'm the bigger guy, that I think he managed to extend it, and he did show quite a bit of toughness as well in getting it right up to the 12th round when Bud landed a great, almost kind of crazy right uppercut that hit high on the mandible, which kind of reminded me of the third fight between Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield when Bowe landed very high up on the top of the jaw and Holyfield was done. It was a great uppercut. He was on the floor, and then I thought a bit of a merciful but a rightful stoppage because he was well ahead at that point. Something I really like about Crawford is that he's got a subdued personality outside of the ropes, but inside he's very spiteful. He goes through the gears and he tries to make things happen. He started off with the hands high and moving. He was touching him, he was seeing how he reacted. Then around round 6, he started to land some heavier stuff. He was seeing how he was reacting. And then eventually it led up to the stoppage. He seems to have a bit of an obligation inside of him to want to entertain, which I like. He's not about sitting on a lead and just being satisfied with that. Before the end of the last round, his trainer said that, don't do anything crazy, but if you see an opportunity, go for it. And I like that. That's very much in the spirit of boxing, because what is boxing ultimately? Why did people watch boxing in the first place? Why did it come back in England in the 1700s and people started to take interest again? Because it's entertainment. And I think the very best fighters, or certainly the fan favourites at the very least, they're the ones who recognise that thousands of people are watching. And Crawford does seem to have a bit of a fire inside of him. I'm not bothered about the fact he's pretty chilled out or boring, you could say, if you wanted to be harsh outside of the ropes. Because when you look at a guy like Tyson Fury, who's talking all the time outside of the ropes, but then he's not delivering inside. It doesn't matter, watching boxing, this isn't a soap opera. I'm into a guy who's delivering in the ring, and Crawford has that spike to him. He whips in body shots. A word on his technique on the right hand is kind of interesting, but when Crawford throws the right hook, it's almost a hyperextension, so it almost looks like a swipe. He doesn't get told off for cuffing though, or hitting on the inside of the glove, so technically it's still correct. But I've noticed he almost throws it very wide. That almost looks a bit uncomfortable or could possibly injure your elbow. But he really whips it in well and hurts guys with it. To the body, to there. His punch variation, his feet, his hands, his defence. It's all very good, isn't it, Crawford? And it's why he's one of the pound for pound best. Now, just a word on Benavidez, actually. His sole tactic seemed to be to leave his hands on his thighs in the hope it would lure Bud in. That's all he seemed to have because he didn't have the speed or the tools to trap him going forward. So he often got left looking like a bit of a dummy, just going, go on then, try and hit me, my hands are down again. And Crawford wasn't falling for it, kept sticking his tongue out and then hitting him at will. Now, the only slight problem here with Crawford is when he was asked later by Bob Arum, or rather when he was asked by the interviewer, what do you want to do next? He pulled up the old classic annoying phrase of, well, I'll ask Bob Arum or he'll figure it out. At that point, you want to hear people call out names. I want to hear him say, I want Errol Spence. Let's go for it next. Because that is the fight to be made at welterweight now. Make no mistake. Keith Thurman, he's very nothing, isn't he? What is he doing? Did somebody say recently, I read something like he's all loved up and he's gone soft and he's rich. And he's so injury prone. He could be willing to fight Spence or Crawford, but then he could just get injured again. So he's really not a factor at the moment, despite the fact he's showing up at fights and talking the talk. Until Spence really is ready to fight anybody else, it doesn't matter. So the big fight to be made is Crawford and Spence. Now, is that going to happen next? No. Is it going to happen in 2019? It's unlikely. If it were to happen though, and we've got the physically big, dedicated body attack of Spence, very good, probably a lot more effective. He hasn't got the flash of Crawford, but he's very good against the tricky craftiness, the stance switching of Crawford. Who do you think, if they were to fight now, a question for all of you, who do you think would win? Would you favour the skills of Crawford or the physical presence and that body attack of Spence? I think that is the question at the moment at welterweight. But as things stand, very well done to Crawford, successfully defending his WBO title. Still easily in the top 3. Was he top 2, maybe pound for pound after Lomachenko? Congrats to him. And let's hope next year we can get some of the big ones.